Welcome to Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast. Olá, eu sou a Helena, and on this episode we're going to talk about the family. But just before that, I want to tell you that Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast is now on Patreon. If you want to support this project and get some exclusive content, you can become a patron. Go to www.patreon.com/tradutex and learn more about it. I want to thank to my patrons Francine Brown, Gita Barknovitz, Philip French, Rebecca Hunt and Audrey Jenkins for their support. Muito obrigada. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about the family. In Portuguese, the family is a família. A família. Família is a feminine word. That's why we're using the definite article a just before it. Let's repeat. A família. And let's start with this very important word referring to our grandparents. How do we say grandparents in Portuguese? This is a bit of a tricky one, especially because of the pronunciation. So I want you to pay attention. The grandparents in Portuguese is os avós. Let's do it again, and I'm doing the plural, the grandparents. In Portuguese, you will see that when we do the plural, masculine plural, that includes both masculine singular and feminine singular. So if I want to say the grandparents, referring to the grandfather and the grandmother, I need to use the definite article os, our masculine plural the, and now the word we need is avós. Avós. So we have these two words, os avós. Let me spell it for you so we know what we're doing. So avós is A, V, O com acento S. So I'll just say it in English because there was an accent in the middle. I don't want you to get mixed up with this. So in English is A, V, O with an accent, and it's an accent just to the right, S. So when we do these two words individually, we have os avós. But if we run them together, we say os avós. Os avós. And that happens because os ends at S and avós starts with a vowel, A. So it flows much better if we run the two words together. Os avós. And that is for the grandparents. So let's see how we actually say the grandfather. The grandfather is o avô. O. So here we need to use the o because grandfather is obviously a masculine word, right? It refers to a man, so it is a masculine word. So we're using the definite article o. And now the word for grandfather is avô. I want you to put your lips round and forward as if you're going to whistle in order to pronounce the sound o. Avô. In terms of spelling, this word takes this accent called circunflexo, or in English a circumflex, on the letter O. And that circumflex on the letter O, it's there to tell us that we need to close the vowel. So we spell it with A, V, O com circunflexo, or in English A, V, O, and that O takes a circumflex. So we say o avô. And now if we want to do the feminine, it is really similar. First, we need to change the article. So instead of saying o, now we need to say a, which is our feminine singular the, a. And now the word is avó. Avó. So this time I don't want you to put your lips rounded forward. I don't want you to close the vowel at the end. There's no O sound anymore. Now I want you to open your mouth so we can pronounce a open O. Avó. And how do we spell it? It's really similar. I told you this for a start is a bit difficult, but we need to cover this once. So avó, we spell it with A, V, O com acento. It's an acute accent this time, so we do AVO with an acute accent, which means an accent to the right. That accent tells us, please open the vowel. And open the vowel means open the mouth. So if you're still a bit confused about the difference between a grandfather and a grandmother, I will repeat it for you, starting with the grandfather. The grandfather is o avô. Let's do it again. Don't forget to put your lips round and forward as if you're going to whistle. O avô. And now the grandmother, open the mouth at the end. A avó. A avó. I know they're very, very, very similar, but don't you worry because it's not only the word, but also words that we use before this word. For instance, the articles we were using, they let you know immediately the gender. So if I say o avô, you have the u in front. That means masculine, the. But if I say a avó, that we normally run together, avó, putting the avó together, we get the sound of a, putting these two a letters together. Avó, and you know it's feminine. But not only that, for instance, we use possessive words. And on this episode, along with the vocabulary about the family, I want to take this opportunity to start to introduce the possessive word my. So in English, you would say something like my grandparents, my grandfather, my grandmother. And although the words grandparents, grandmother, grandfather, they are different, plural or singular, or in Portuguese we would also consider masculine, feminine. In English, the word for my is always my. In Portuguese, things work slightly differently. So if you want to say my grandfather, we need to use a masculine singular word to translate the word my. In Portuguese, that word is the word meu. Meu. How do we spell it? M-E-U. If you still struggle a bit with the alphabet, don't forget that you can go back to episode number 4, where you can learn everything about the alphabet. So it means that if I want to say my grandfather, I could say something like meu avô. But it's not just that. We also do something. We do the article the before the possessive. And I know it sounds strange, but it is how we do it in Portugal. So if I want to say my, referring to the grandfather, not only I need to pick the right possessive, in this case meu, I also have to use o before. So I say o meu. And then I can say grandfather. O meu avô. And those three words translate my grandfather. So let's learn that along with possessive words, we use the articles o, a, os, as. But there's a good thing about this. If someone says to you, o meu avô, you know immediately we're talking about the grandfather, because not only you had the word meu, but also the article o, two evidences that we're talking about something that it is masculine and plural. Sorry, masculine and singular, I meant. Masculine and singular. O meu avô. So now let's learn how do we say my grandmother. So we don't just change the word meu into something similar ending with an A. Unfortunately, it's slightly irregular, so the word it's a bit different, and the word here is the word minha. 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 How do we spell it? M-I-N-H-A. M-I-N-H-A. And when we have the NH together, we do the sound ny, nya, nya, nya. So to say my followed by a feminine singular word, what the word we need is minha. But not just the word minha. As I told you before, we also need to use an article in front of the possessive words. So we say a minha. So if I want to say my grandmother, a minha avó. A minha avó. And now let's run all these three words together. A minha avó. A minha avó. It's not a matter of speed. Even if we say it slowly, if minha ends at a and avó starts at a, those two a's together, we don't want to say minha avó. That doesn't flow well. So what we do is those two sounds, we put them into an open a. A minha avó. And even if you are struggling a bit to tell the difference between the word for grandfather, avô, and the word for grandmother, avó, the possessive and the article before will definitely tell you about the gender. A minha avó. O meu avô, my grandfather. A minha avó, my grandmother. Okay, so today we're going to focus specifically on the possessive my. And the following word you will find it, I'm sure, so much easier than the grandparents and grandmother and grandfather is the word for parents. And this is quite a very important one. We all have parents or we are parents, so we really need to know this one. And parents is os pais. Os pais. The parents. As I told you before, the masculine plural includes the father and the mother, so the masculine singular and the feminine singular. Notice the article we're using? We're using the article os. Os pais. The parents. Let me spell it for you, the word for parents. P-A-I-S. Os pais. So if I want to say my parents, I just need to use os. So I keep the same article I was using to say the parents, os, and now I introduce the possessive. Os meus pais. Notice how every word ends at the sound sh. Here there's no way to run these words together because they don't end at vowels, they don't start with vowels. So the only thing we have to do is pronounce every sh at the end as it is. Os meus pais. The sh tells you immediately that we're doing a plural. So let's see the word for father. The word for father is actually very similar to the word for parents. The only difference is that we drop the S. So the father is o pai. O pai. So if I want to say my father, o meu pai. O meu pai. So let's do the mother. The mother, and you might find this one slightly harder because it has a nasal sound in it, but I will help you through this. So the mother is a mãe. A mãe. How do we spell this? Mãe, we spell with M, A. But in this letter we have a little wave on top that we call til, and it's the accent we use to make sounds nasal. And then we finish with E. So in Portuguese, if I need to spell this word, I would say M, A com til, E. Let me help you here in English, so you really understand what we're doing for sure. M, A, with this accent called til, it's like a little wave on top, and then E. M, A with a til, E. And because of that til accent, we need to do the sound A. And it's a nasal diphthong, so we do ein, a mãe. So if I want to say my mother, if you still remember, the possessive word for my followed by a feminine word is the word minha. A minha mãe. This might sound very nasal, and it is. On minha, we have a consonant nasal sound, nha, and on mãe, we have a nasal diphthong, ein. And then both words, minha and mãe, they start with the nasal consonant mu. So it's very nasal, and it sounds like a minha mãe. And if I say it slightly quicker, a minha mãe. Okay, so let's go through these three words along with the possessive my. Let's say my parents, os meus pais, my father, o meu pai, my mother, a minha mãe. Let's learn another word that it is related. Not really father and mother, but stepfather and stepmother. The word for stepfather is the word padrasto. It's a bit long word, I will repeat it. The stepfather is o padrasto. Let me spell it for you in Portuguese. Padrasto. P-A-D-R-A-S-T-O. Padrasto. So now I think you're getting into the logic of this word my. So if I want to say my stepfather, considering that it is a masculine and singular word, the words I need to say that my are the words o meu. So let's put it along with the word for stepfather, and we get o meu padrasto. O meu padrasto. The word for stepmother is kind of similar, and we can see the relation between padrasto and the word for father, that is pai. They start with the same sound, pa, pai, padrasto. And now the word for stepmother relates also to the word for mother, that is mãe. So the word is madrasta. 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 Let me spell it for you. M-A-D-R-A-S-T-A. Madrasta. So if I want to say my stepmother, now I need to get the feminine singular word we use to say my, or even better, the two words we put together to say my. Those are a minha, and I say a minha madrasta. A minha madrasta. And now, a very important word, because we all are children. And the children, as in the sons and the daughters, is the word filhos. Filhos. On this one, we have that l sound we get with the LH together. So filhos, we spell it in Portuguese, em português, F-I-L-H-O-S. Filhos. The children, os filhos. Os filhos. And as usually, filhos, the masculine plural, includes the sons and the daughters. So the word for son is just like the word for children but without the S, filho. So the son is o filho. And now this one is pretty regular. The daughter is a filha. So let's do it again. The son, o filho. The daughter, a filha. So now let's put these words along with the words for my. So my children, os meus filhos. My son, o meu filho. My daughter, a minha filha. And now I think it's a good opportunity to tell you about the feminine plural word for my. What happens if I have only daughters? If I want to say my daughters. So if I want to say my daughters, the word I need for my is just like the word for my daughter, but I have to add S. So instead of saying a minha, I say as minhas. As minhas filhas. Okay, so let's do this one again. This is a good word to work with the possessive my because it's a pretty regular word. So we go from filho, filha, filhos, filhas. When we use the masculine plural filhos, that might refer to all my children, or if I have boys and girls, mixed boys and girls, or just the boys. But if I only have girls, I really need to say filhas. So that is pretty much the logic of all Portuguese words. The masculine plural include the female, but if we just have a female group, we use the feminine plural. So let's go through the possessive my with the 4 possibilities along with this word for son, daughter, children. So if I want to say my son, o meu filho. My daughter, a minha filha. My sons or my children, mixed group with boys and girls. Os meus filhos. Just my daughters, as minhas filhas. So, okay, don't worry, we will carry on practicing this o meu, a minha, os meus, as minhas, these 4 possibilities to translate the word my, and I want you to understand that the one we will pick for each situation. It has nothing to do with you, the fact that you are a man or a woman. It's only about the following word on your sentence. Okay? This is important to understand. If I say my daughter, I will use a minha filha, not because I am a woman, but because the following word to my is the word filha, which is feminine and singular. Okay, so let's learn a word that it is again related to the idea of son and daughter, but this time stepson, stepdaughter, stepchildren, stepdaughters. So the word for stepchildren is the word, and it's a bit longer, enteados. I repeat, enteados. Enteados. let me spell it for you in Portuguese so we can practice our alphabet and understand better how do we pronounce this word. So, spelling it for you, em português é N T E A D O S. Enteados. So the stepchildren, os enteados. But you see, again, we have something like we had with the grandparents, os avós. We have os ending at S and enteados starting with E, which is a vowel. So we can run these two words together with the Z sound. Os enteados. Os enteados. And that flows so much better. So the stepson, this is a pretty regular word again, so it will be easier to understand. The stepson is just like the stepchildren without the S. So the stepson is o enteado. O enteado. And the stepdaughter, a enteada. A enteada. And if I'm just referring to my stepdaughters, what I need to do is make the feminine singular into a feminine plural. As enteadas. But again, because as ends at S and enteadas starts with a vowel, I can and I should run these two words together to flow much, much better. As enteadas. And now, to help you to remember this word and to practice again the possessive my, let's do my stepson, my stepdaughter, my stepchildren, and then just my stepdaughters. So, my stepson, o meu enteado. My stepdaughter, a minha enteada. My stepchildren, which could be just boys or boys and girls, os meus enteados. Have you noticed that I put the meus enteados together instead of saying separately meus enteados? Because meus ends at S and enteados starts with a vowel. Again, if you want, you can run them together, and we often do. So I will repeat this one. Os meus enteados. And then my stepdaughters. And I will do the same kind of connection between minhas and enteadas with the sound Z. As minhas enteadas. And to finish our episode today, I want to tell you about a word that is also from our close family. On the following episode, next week, we will explore other members of the family. On this episode today, I wanted to give you the most close family. Close family, we say família próxima. Família próxima. And the last one I want to tell you today is about, of course, brothers and sisters. And the word for brothers and sisters, the siblings, is irmãos. Irmãos. And again, we have a nasal sound there. So I will spell it to you in Portuguese, and then I will give you a little help in English just to make sure you understand how we do this sound. So in Portuguese, we spell this word with I, R, M, A, O, S, but when I said A, it's actually A with that little wave again that we did on mãe, mother. So it's I, R, M, A, com til, O, S. To make sure you understand, I will repeat it in English, this one. I, R, M, A with the til, that little wave that makes the nasal sound, Irmãos. Now that you understand it better, if I say the siblings, so again, the masculine plural, as always, includes the brothers and the sisters, or it could be just referring to the brothers, that's also possible. And saying the siblings, we say os irmãos. And yes, you've noticed, I'm sure, os ends at s, irmãos starts with a vowel. It means that we can and we should run these two words together with the sound z in the middle. Os irmãos. Os irmãos. Let's do it again. Os irmãos. So if I just want to tell you about the brother, again, I just need to drop the S. I have the word irmão with that ão sound. When we do that ão, make sure you close your lips at the end. Ão. Use your nose. It's a nasal diphthong. So the brother is o irmão. What about the sister? Let's drop the O. We keep the accent where it is, and we finish with the sound again nasal. And we say irmã. Irmã. Stress the last syllable, make it nasal, mouth open this time. Irmã. So if you want to say the sister, a irmã. Okay, let's go through these three words again. So we have os irmãos, the brothers and the sisters, or just the brothers. O irmão, the brother. A irmã, the sister. And in case you want to say the sisters, let's just add the letter S to sister. And we have the sisters. So, as irmãs. Again, we're doing that thing of putting the as along with the irmãs with the sound z to make the connection between the two words. As irmãs. Keep your mouth open at the end. Make sure you make your nasal sound and finish with the sound ans. The sh at the end is for the plural. So let's repeat these four words, but now along with the possessive for my. So my brother. O meu irmão. My sister. A minha irmã. My brothers, or could be my brothers and sisters. Os meus irmãos. Yes, I put the meus along with irmãos. I could say them apart, meus irmãos. It's easier perhaps for you to pronounce one first time, but if you try to put them together, it flows much better, and it's how normally people speak. Os meus irmãos. Finally, just my sisters. As minhas irmãs. Okay, so I feel that this was a lot of vocabulary. Also, a revision on the articles o, a, os, as that we need to do every episode. And also this possessive meu, minha, meus, minhas, that you need to remember that we use these words along with the articles o, a, os, as. Okay, I just want to go through the words we did once again to finish this episode. Let's start always with the masculine plural that includes both genders, and then the masculine singular, and then the feminine singular. We'll go through the list in the same order we did it, and you can just practice the pronunciation. I will not say the words in English, so let's just focus on the Portuguese. If you have any questions, you can always go back and check what it is. Okay, are you ready? Os avós, o avô, a avó, os pais, o pai, a mãe, o padrasto, a madrasta, os filhos, o filho, a filha, os enteados, o enteado, a enteada, os irmãos, o irmão, a irmã. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Até para a semana. Tchau, obrigada.